It does not work. like he's that call. That dude is not going to listen to you at all. He doesn't give a shit. Like
we are live,
it's a
guys.
scam.
We're live. So listen, man, really excited. Glad to have everybody here with us tonight. Once again, another episode of the Inner Circle podcast, premier podcast for Xbox. I want to thank everybody for stopping in tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the E3 week. Lots of great games that released. Lots of great games were talked about. So I'm very excited and very ecstatic about everything that we're gonna have a chance to discuss tonight. Anchor was just talking about the do not call list and sort of putting us on to the do not call list and that it does not exist. So like if you get a telemarketer that calls you and they're like talking crap about don't call me or take my phone off this number or put me on the do not call list, that list doesn't exist. They're gonna call your ass anyway.
So like here, that the whole thing about that whole process is that there is a federal do not call registry, but at the same time that telemarketers don't really call people anymore. They don't call telemarketing is kind of dead. Anybody who's calling you is either a scam or a bill collector because you owe money. And you saying, "Oh, put me on a do not call list" doesn't mean anything to any of those people. That's because funny. Because the do not call list they're referring to this registry is only for telemarketing. Mm-hmm. But you owing a bill is not telemarketing.
Right.
They don't care.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a crazy situation. So listen, man, E3, it's over. It's over. A lot of things were shown, a lot of things wasn't shown. We're gonna definitely discuss the Xbox conference. Sam was there representing for us. Has a few stories to chat about. Hey, go. And I'm just really excited, man. I can't wait to discuss everything that we got a chance to see and got a chance to really dissect over the week. Obviously, massive major news with Microsoft and the Xbox team. I can't talk enough about what Microsoft did this E3. A lot of people want to shun a lot of the things that they presented because they showed a lot of third-party titles, but I really hate the fact that they gloss and go over all the exclusive games that they had as well, as if those games don't matter because they don't appeal to people outside of Xbox or people who may be interested in Xbox. So we're definitely going to discuss that and go over those as well. So this is going to be a long show, man. So I'm going to jump right in. We're going to try to do a Q&A if we have the time, but we definitely are going to dissect the Xbox conference and give our evaluations on that, as well as talk about E3 overall and what was shown this week. So let's get the show started. Welcome to the Inner Circle podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. I'm your host, K-R SKL, with Anchorman V.
Hey, everybody.
Direwolf 484.
Hey there, guys. Good to be back.
And, of course, B Money 101, who isn't with us currently. And we are your Inner Circle podcast. So Microsoft came out, man. They wanted to show out. I had a conversation that I spoke of on the last Son of Planet Xbox. If you didn't get a chance to check out the show, make sure you go check it out. And the week or the day that Matt Booty had did an interview with I think it's called MVC. That was picked up by a couple of news outlets. And one of the news outlets that caught it, I believe it wasn't GameSpot. It might have been Giant Bomb. Somebody along Gear Nuke. That's who, somebody with a G. So it's picked up by Gear Nuke, and Gear Nuke made some quotes with Matt Booty and talked about how Matt Booty lines were referencing their perspective on what they want to do with games as a service. And it kind of reiterated some of the things that Phil was talking about earlier when it was like they had to focus on single-player games. Obviously, it wasn't something that they were going to just forget about. But a lot of Microsoft's focus going forward would be on games as a service and multiplayer titles because that's what they see their players interacting in and playing instead of, let's say, the multiplayer aspect like on PlayStation or even Nintendo. So I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like it at all. It almost felt like the way he talked about it was like he was incapable, or shall I say, the team was incapable of creating quality first-party titles, and because of that, they would only do them sparingly while they focused mostly on multiplayer games and games of service or co-op titles. And I didn't go into a rant. I didn't come on Tick Podcast and talk about it or anything like that. However, I did feel some type of way, and I had a discussion on Twitter amongst the community. Well, a couple hours later, I get a text message from someone that I will not say the name of, but we wind up having this long discussion, and this discussion went on for a pretty long period. And I pretty much tried my best to explain from the perspective of a fan what the hardcore guys were feeling and what people were saying. Because when you're in a corporate setting and you're a big corporate guy and you're really high up, the things that you see mainly are just like numbers, statistics. It's hard to really gauge what is really happening, what the perspective is or the narrative is for your platform if you're not down here. And what I mean by that is, if, say, for example, you have a negative perception of your platform, over time, you might not see that because you're looking at the numbers from the last quarter and it's like you just made $2.5 billion. But over time, those numbers will dwindle and they will change. So I try to make an emphasis on that. And we kind of went back and forth and we talked about it. But the one thing that was key in all that was everything that he said to me was impactful in the way I looked at the upcoming E3 about, what they were investing in, how they were investing, the way they see games as a service, the direction they want to take Xbox, and how it was really important. And the conversation we were having was really important as a dialogue. And I thought that was impactful because I'm nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a guy on YouTube and with a great team trying to build this media, empire that we've stumbled upon, I guess you could say, in a way. And that was cool to be able to be looked to as someone who could give a perspective or some dialogue or advice in what things they should be doing. But the key thing out of all of that was that E3 was going to be really fun and really exciting and will be their best in a long time. And I reiterated that to the people on Twitter, to sort of reassure them, because there was so much negativity going on about Xbox that I kind of felt like it only made sense for me, maybe not to discuss the conversation that I had, but more so to try to give guys some stress relief. If you're a diehard fan and you're hoping Xbox delivers, this show is going to be that show. So to jump into everything, man, Microsoft comes out on stage. First thing they open up with, Halo Infinite. And we had no idea what this game was. From your perspective, Sam, what were you guys saying at the event when it first came on stage?
At the event, it got a huge cheer. I'm sure you guys heard that on the stream, but it was one of the loudest cheers at the conference, of any of the conferences, just hearing that iconic theme, seeing the Chiefs helmet come into view, and what a gorgeous demo. What a gorgeous tech demo. Like, holy crap, it looks really good. It's got Digital Foundry questioning whether it's even possible on the Xbox One X. That's how good this thing looks, okay? They're talking about it being above 4K, and it absolutely was running at 60 frames per second. The reflections in the helmet, it looks good. It definitely gives this Halo 1 sense of a vast open ring. Let's go back to our roots. The art style harkens back to the Bungie days. Yeah. It was lit. It was one of the things people were talking about. I mean, make no mistake, there were a lot of announcements. People were talking about a lot at the Xbox conference and immediately afterwards, but Halo Infinite kept on coming up. Everyone is excited for it that I've talked to.
Right. Anchor, when you saw it, we did the impression show, and what was going through your head? Did you even think it was Halo?
Up until the end, I didn't think it was Halo. It looked, I was thinking this was a new IP initially.
Right.
Because the creatures and stuff they showed off looked a little more prehistoric in nature, and I was like, hey, hold up, is this that new franchise they were talking about that they were like shooting for like a Horizon Zero Dawn kind of deal? Like, hold up now. Like, I was interested, and as soon as they showed Master Chief's helmet, I tuned out.
Are you serious?
He's still on the show because
I don't know. I question this every week.
I was just like, okay. But because I think too, like, I don't know, maybe it's the quality of the stream I was looking at. It was that impressive graphically, at least.
Okay.
To me, it looked toned down.
Okay,
that might just be the stream.
I'll tell you this, dude. That was absolutely the stream because I saw it there in person at the conference, and it looked beyond stellar. It's one of the best looking things I've ever seen. I'm telling you, you have a 4K HDR TV. Load the video up there, let it buffer, set it to the highest quality possible, and then go back and watch it, okay? Because it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
I was completely impressed with the game, honestly. I thought it was a new IP as well. But just looking at it, I had a sense that this game was going to be something special. And the way it looks like is I'm not the only person that believes it's going to be something special because if you haven't heard, one of Naughty Dog's artists that have been with them for a very long time has left the studio to go and work with the Microsoft team at 343, and he will be doing the texture art for the next Halo franchise. And the key thing in that and what he said was that the reason why he left was because 343 is working on something special, something so special that it ripped him from the studio that he loved the most, Naughty Dog. And that is just like absolutely insane because we know the pedigree that Naughty Dog has. We know what they produce, how they produce it, the quality of the games that they show, the character models and everything. So to be able to have this guy, suddenly say he's going to step away from the studio after being there for 6 years and sort of be in this position where, these things really work for him. It means that 343 really has something different and really special. So this whole demo was a engine demo, basically showing you that they're working on a new engine called Slipspace. One of the key things that he said is that he always loved the Halo universe. 343 has something special coming up, something so special that 343 managed to rip me from the clutches of a studio that I hold near and dear to my heart, and that was Naughty Dog. And that's his quote word for word. This guy, if you're looking at what Microsoft is doing overall, we'll dive into all the other things that happen. But if you look at what Microsoft is doing overall, you're talking about harking back to the original chief. The world seems like it's open world. You're talking about bringing in a new texture quality artists. You have a new engine. They are really, really trying to reshape what Halo is. And I think the other thing that was really big in that was I even heard a rumor that they might not even launch Halo with its multiplayer. Now, I don't know how true
I don't believe that for 1 second. Dude.
I know that. I don't believe that either. But I'm just saying that I'm hearing that they are so dedicated to working on the campaign and getting the campaign right that they may launch the single player first, the campaign first, and then follow up with the multiplayer a few days or a few weeks later. So, with that being said, and obviously that's a rumor. Don't take that as set in stone or whatever. That's just something that I had heard. I feel like this game has the potential to be something where it is open world. It seems that it's going to be very expansive. You're driving around, very similar to the first game, because the first game was like that, where really you kind of went from location to location in a Warthog. And that's how you sort of explored the game, that you would go down into the elevator, into the Halo, and you would fight there, and you would end up in different areas of the Halo ring. And one place would be snow, one place would be a forest area, one place would be technological. When you open up the door, you get to the flood, yada, yada, yada. I just think that this thing really has a lot of potential. I don't know what it's going to be. I know that it supposedly takes place after Halo 5. And that means it would be Halo 6, but they're dropping numbers. Did you get any info on them dropping numbers, Sam?
Yes. So, yeah, Frank O'Connor actually stepped in, Stinkles on Reset Era. That's his username. He talked a little bit about it. He confirmed what we kind of suspected, and that is they're moving away from numbers because they feel like numbers don't tell an accurate story anymore. But make no mistake, this is Halo 6. It's the sequel to Halo 5. He also quite cryptically said that while it continues the story started in Halo 5, it's also going to be a fantastic point for people to jump in on the story. Make of that whatever you want, but that's what he says. My feeling on that is this is 100% me, that they're going to wrap up what happened in Halo 5 pretty quick, and that they're going to go down the path of Halo Wars 2 and check out Atriox and the Banished and move to a new ring and stuff like that. That's just my theories. I have no actual proof beyond the cryptic comments.
Gotcha.
And I totally think you're right on that, because the problem for people who are not into Halo is that we feel like there's a lot of really deep lore that we're really missing out on, and it's like, I don't feel a need to go into it. Like, I don't want to have to take a 10-hour course to figure this out. Like, I mean, honestly, Halo's really not that deep, but it gives the impression of depth. So I mean, that's the big issue with that. And so, if Frank O'Connor is saying, like, okay, we're basically kind of restarting a little bit, kind of like what Halo 4 was, where it was like, okay, we got the Warden Eternal, but instead of Warden Eternal, we're going to have a real villain this time.
Right.
With Atriox. Atriox was dope.
Absolutely. So yeah, Halo Infinite, the future is promising.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited, man. I can't say enough about Halo. It's definitely really exciting. We're going to touch on these exclusive titles first, and then we'll jump into what we saw third-party wise. Moving on from Halo, Gears 5. Now, here's my thing with Gears of War. I like Gears of War 4, but I lost interest in it midway, because I felt like there was a pacing issue. This game feels completely different from any other Halo I have played so far. It actually doesn't feel like...
I would hope it feel very different from Halo.
Well, excuse me, not Halo. Thank you. I meant to say Gears of War 4. We just finished talking about Halo, so I'm stuck on Halo. It seems so different from Gears of War, Gears 4, that Gears 5 actually feels like a slightly different game. And what I mean by that is Gears 4, it still felt squad-based. Like, it still felt like you were always in some type of group. In this, you just feel alone. Like, in every scene that I've seen, you just feel like you're kind of like on this solo mission as Kate. As Kate. And I'm just sort of like, I don't understand how that plays out. You understand what I'm saying? Because it looks like you leave Marcus and you leave JD behind. It's you and what's the other guy's name? Dell. Here we go. And it's you and Dell, and you guys go on this thing. But even then, in a certain scene, she questions Dell's integrity. Like, why are you here? Why are you following me? And all these other scenes, you sort of see her by herself, or in instances, fighting with other, Gears, but not actually them on the squad. Like, you see Carmines and other like little soldiers with the little Carmine helmets on getting destroyed by bugs while she's sitting up there trying to get them off of her. So I really thought that the game just looked really impressive. Graphically, it was impressive. The emotion was there. It's just a completely different tone, and the colors were not dreary. This is a complete change from what we have been getting with Gears. I'm really impressed with the direction that they're going, and I truly hope they really take it from the, I guess you could say, the sort of like Transformer big blockbuster explosion monster type thing and make it a deeper, darker, more concentrated game, the way the first one sort of was in the first Gears.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll co-sign all that. So first off, I'm going to say it looks gorgeous. It looks really, really good. The character models, the detail, and some of the screenshots they've released, it looks fantastic. The HDR looks stunning. So I'm looking forward to it. It looks like they're addressing the concerns of, and Rod Ferguson said they were going to do this, okay? People keep on forgetting. He said in interviews that the Coalition felt they needed to make a mainline Gears in the vein of the older games before they experimented with the formula. Whether you agree with him or not, they have done that. They made Gears 4. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game, but it is a very safe game. There's no questioning that. Now they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. It's going to be semi-open world, maybe hub-based. You're going to be able to, I was able to dig this little information up on some sites, that you're going to be able to use that skiff to go across frozen lakes and explore the world. You're going to be able to go across actual lakes. They're saying it's going to have the biggest variety in environments of any Gears games, and the survival horror vibes. That, like, the worm monsters, or when Kate is creeping up through that hallway, it almost looks like there's stealth mechanics. almost sort of like that, and how the Swarm are infecting the DBs. They're infecting all the robots and taking them over and twisting them. Yeah, I'm down. I'm absolutely into it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it looks stunning. I was completely impressed with the game. I can't talk enough. I really can't say enough about this game. Like, I sat for the whole time I was sitting there like, I don't know why I'm interested in this game. Like I had, like, by the time I got towards the third time that I had to kind of do that horde mode in Gears 4, I lost interest. I didn't beat Gears 4. I got all the way to the part. I don't even know where I'm at, but I just know me and my homeboy, we was playing. We played every Gears together.
How do we have this man on the podcast?
Because I play more games than Fallout, and I don't bash Xbox randomly.
So do I.
No, you don't. You don't play Xbox games. Stop it. Anyway.
At least I finished Gears 4.
I'm trying to play Gears 4, but I started to lose interest because of the stoppage. I'm serious. Like, being, like, literally putting that, whatever that thing is, the truck down and setting up and taking on DBs or the horde whenever they come. Bro, that is like a pace killer playing that. That's a pace killer. It really killed the pace of that game, especially when you're just going from point A to point B. So I need to get back into it, obviously, and beat it so I can finish it, just force myself through and get the story so I can continue with the next Gears, because I'm really interested in the next one. And it looks impressive. Graphically, it's probably one of the best games I've seen at E3.
Absolutely. Question. I will co-sign that.
Absolutely. Definitely gorgeous game. Forza Horizon 4. What can we say about Forza? Forza is in a class by itself at this point.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say. Forza Horizon is the best racing series on Earth. I'm sorry, I'll take that statement. It is what it is. Playground games are masters. They know what they're doing with it. We're getting a 60 FPS. Cool.
Right, you get 60.
I'll be perfectly honest here. I was hoping for like some police chases or stuff like that to be added into the series, and I still stand by the statements that we've talked about earlier in DMs and sort of stuff, that Forza needs to go to a 3-year cycle instead of a 2-year, and they need to introduce like a third entry or something. I still stand by that, but Forza Horizon 4 looks fantastic. I'm sure it'll do great. Forza Horizon 3 is literally the highest rated game or highest rated exclusive on the Xbox One. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Definitely a great game. Are you picking up Forza? Anchor?
Game Pass, so yeah, duh. Of course I'm going.
Yeah. Everyone's picking it up. I don't like motorsport, but for Horizon, I'm in.
Oh, right. Same. Horizon is my jam.
I like,
but that's the other question you bring up too. Like, who could even claim to compete with Forza at this point?
Forza Horizon, nobody.
Yeah,
no, Gran Turismo, but at this point, Gran Turismo's had one game come out this generation? And
even then,
how many has Forza had?
Yeah, it's no. Forza Horizon is in a category unto itself. That's not up for debate.
Right.
Because anybody can jump in on Horizon. Like, yes, there is that level of technical ability. Like, if you're really into that stuff, you can have that. But if you just want to drive around and have a good time, Horizon, you can just pick up and play.
Right.
I mean, that's what makes it so appealing to me.
Right. So there were 3 Gears games announced. You had Gears Pop, and that's cool for mobile. If you're into that, I think that'd be a cool little game for people out there who want to get into Gears and have the whole pop thing going on. And then you also have Gears Tactics. A lot of people upset that it's not coming to Xbox, or at least it's not mentioned to come to Xbox currently. I'm sure
that needs to be rectified. That XCOM works on console. I don't want to hear any excuses. Perfect it for PC all you want. It needs to come to Xbox.
Yeah, I think it comes to Xbox eventually. A lot of people are upset because it almost seems like a couple years ago you had Phil come out and say Xbox will have its own exclusive still, and PC would have its own exclusive still. Now it just seems like PC is getting all the Xbox games, and they're still getting their own exclusive games from Microsoft, like the Age of Empires or whatever it is that people are complaining about. And now you have this Gears game. So that is something that I think they will rectify, and that will probably eventually come to Xbox sometime down the road.
I do want to jump in there really quick and say Splash Damage is making Gears Tactics. So hashtag Sam was right about the Gears spinoff.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
I do want to say too as well. Here's the funny thing. Remember what that leak that came out like 3-4 weeks ago. Says there's going to be 3 Gears games coming
Polygon.
out.
Yep. Shout out to Polygon. They got it right.
Yeah, I did not think that was legit. I didn't think it was going to happen.
I didn't either. Now, granted, they had to get there by introducing a mobile game. So, yeah, I mean, we're stretching the limits and definitions here. But, hey, at the end of the day, Polygon was right. So,
right.
There you go.
Yeah, that was good on their part. You also had Crackdown 3. Now, I don't know, man. Listen, Crackdown 3 continues to like Crackdown 3. I appreciate them putting more work into it. I just don't know what they can do to improve this game.
Okay, so I actually thought it looked better than it has before. We actually saw some of the destruction with a couple of the rocket launchers. They said, hey, vehicles can go up and down the buildings and stuff like that. You got the transforming vehicles because that wasn't actually confirmed before. Terry Crews is loud and mad as ever. The whole thing was an Old Spice commercial. So it has a ways to go, don't get me wrong, but I do think that the delays are finally starting to show some progress.
I don't know, man. This game, I don't know. I'm just not a Crackdown fan. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm just gonna stop beating around the bush, man. I don't know, man. With games like
how is this man on the podcast?
Once again, I'm the last son of playing Xbox. You're just Anchorman V. Let's not get it twisted. At the end of the day, man, Crackdown is something about Crackdown where I'm just not for sitting outside of a building and blowing up people all day. Like, I'm just not doing it from location to location. It's just not ideal for me. As a guy who loves RPGs, a guy that loves adventure games, I don't just want to sit outside and just blow stuff up all day until the boss comes out. I feel like this game needs some type of gameplay shift, an updated gameplay shift. I look at everything that came out that has had this type of gameplay, this mayhem gameplay, like Saints Row, Agents of Mayhem, and the success those games have. And I think a lot of people just want to play the multiplayer. But if you're going to put a campaign in there, it should be valid because you're going to lose points for the campaign. You're like, people, they're going to rate this game and they're going to make this game lose points for the campaign and praise the multiplayer. And I just feel like they should take a different direction with the campaign. It should be story driven. If not story driven, it should be mission based driven. And you should have a linear experience of where you're going or different ways to take on where you're going, entering the building or trying to get the guy to come out, but not just sitting outside and causing so much havoc that the boss gets pissed off after you kill all his minions and then he comes out. Like, I just don't like that. That's the only gripe I have with the game. Other than that, I think the potential for the multiplayer aspect could be really good. Did you play it? Besides them telling you or seeing things on the game?
I did not get a chance to play it. I was on the hunt. It was not at the media-only event, unfortunately, nor on the for access for regular people to play. So, However, I am hearing whispers that they're going to show more of it at Gamescom. I pray to God that's true. So we'll see.
Right. Listen, for all the Crackdown fans out there, I truly hope you enjoyed the game. If you enjoyed the first two, it is definitely the exact same game. Like, I'm not playing. I played this game. It is the exact same game that you played back in the day on 360. And if you love that game, it is for you. I am not trying to, disrespect anybody or say the game is trash in any way. It could be a good game. Just currently, that particular franchise ain't for me. So, Ori and the Blind Forest, did you get a chance to play that?
I did indeed. I've got an impressions piece on that, hopefully dropping sometime tomorrow. I played it for about 20 minutes. Also, Lord Cognito interviewed a Microsoft Studios Global Publishing dev member who works with Moon Studios on the game. He interviewed it while watching me play the game. That's up on the Iron Lords podcast channel right now, actually. So you can check that out. It was a great interview, especially if you didn't play the first Ori, so you're not familiar with the series at all. What can I say? It's the first, but it's better. It looks gorgeous. It's some of the best use of HDR I've ever seen. It looks fantastic on that 4K HDR display they had. I'm in. I love it. First one was a masterpiece. I have no doubt the second one will be somehow even better. Moon Studios knows what they're doing.
Right. Or I think Ori's going to be fantastic. Without question. Love the first game. I love the emotion of the first game. Love the action of the first game. The way everything was set up, beautiful graphically. Just a great little side scroller Metrovania style game. Really excited for it. Anchor, well, how do you feel about this game?
It's more Ori, I guess. I don't know. I never bothered to finish the first one. I just wasn't really into it. The Metroidvania thing is
God. Are you kidding me?
No, the Metroidvania thing is cool. Man, you go finish Gears 4 first.
I'm gonna finish Gears 4. I'll finish Gears 4 before you finish Ori.
Okay, the race is on. We have a bet. We have a bet, ladies and gentlemen.
How is this a bet? I'm not taking any more bets with Anchorman V.
We have a bet.
Loser has to play Alien Isolation.
Place your bets in the Tick Podcast channel. Tweet us on Twitter. You can hit them up and figure out. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Who is going to win? Will Anchorman V2 finish Ori and the Blind Forest before Cal, the last son of Planet Xbox, finishes Gears of War 4?
Bro, that's not even a good bet. Ori isn't even that long of a game. Let alone
how close are you to the other thing?
I don't know what
chapter Gears.
I don't know what chapter I'm on.
I don't know what chapter I'm on for Ori, so we'll find out.
Both of you have to start over. There we go.
Start over? Okay, he's not going to like that.
That's not a balanced bet. I'm not going to compete with a full AAA title that has a story that I actually need to listen to compared to him playing Ori.
Are you being elitist and saying Ori's not as good?
I didn't say that. I said a game that is driven on narrative story. Ori is driven not on narrative story, but it's actually driven on emotions and the way the characters interact with each other. There is no real dialogue in Ori. It's not like they're actually talking and you're reading stuff. So don't do that. I don't think that's a fair bet.
That's elitist.
And besides, I refuse to take a bet with you after you set me up with Alien Isolation. I'm not doing that no more.
So salty. Yeah.
I'm not salty. I won that bet. Just remember that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but you're so upset.
Anyway, move on. Let's move on because we're burning through clock here. We got a lot to talk about. Okay, so Ori and the Blind Forest 2, The Will of the Wisp looks great. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I hope it grabs all the emotions of the first game. If you haven't played the first game, definitely play it because it is definitely a gem. I think a lot of the games that Microsoft showed gets looked over. Vigor is another game that wasn't announced at E3, but was announced on Inside Xbox. And on Inside Xbox, this game was like a cross between survival and PUBG. And I thought that was pretty cool, man. It's a different type of concept. It's made by, I think, what's the studio? Bohemian
Interactive.
Bohemian Interactive.
It's whatever.
Those are the guys who do the DayZ game, I think.
Hence why I said it's whatever.
I don't know, man. I like stuff like that. We'll see. We'll see how that pans out. But that is another thing. Obviously, they seek success in the survival genre with games like Ark and Conan, and then you see success with PUBG. It could be a thing where they really are finding, at least numbers wise, what they are seeing is showing them the things that they are successful at, and that's probably why that game is hitting the platform first. Plus, it's coming to preview, so we all know how that works. Microsoft picked up 4 new studios and opened up a new one. This was the big megaton bomb that they had dropped. A lot of people had felt like Microsoft wasn't going to do anything for first party. They were going to be reliant on third party. And yes, they did have a lot of third party games that were shown. But again, we just spoke about a good portion of some of the first party exclusives that they had. We didn't even get into some of the timed games that they had, which is another thing that we'll try to dive into if we can. Listen, but the 5 studios are major. First of all, Playground Games come in. They got 2 studios in that deal. Yeah, you basically have Playground that's working on the Forza games, and then you have another 200-man studio that is working on an action RPG that we all believe is Fable based on some of the conversations that we read a few years ago. I look at what they're doing with Fable. I look at what they're doing with Forza Horizon and the whole seasons things with the snow and the spring and the autumn and the way the world is dynamic with the sky and the time of day. And just take that and put it in Fable. And I'm hearing that they have the green light to make the Fable that they want to make. It doesn't have to be the Lionhead Fable that we remember. New assets, new player models, a new world, just with the Fable name. I am all for that. Did you guys hear anything about that at E3?
About Fable, or are we still talking about just all the studios in general?
Fable, about Fable.
Fable, no, except for the fact that obviously they almost wanted to talk about it. Phil literally said they're bringing their expertise to an entirely new project next year. Well, we can't wait to talk about it soon. So presumably we'll hear more about that, next year, E3 2019.
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting. It's super exciting.
Right. Anchor, you excited for Fable?
It depends on what they show. My thing is I want them to take a very drastic change, like almost do a complete reboot.
And I think they will.
The timeline's also screwed, and there's a lot of other stuff that's going to work through first.
Right.
From what?
Yeah, I'd be excited if they redo it. If it's a complete reboot and maybe a slightly darker tone, sure, I'm in.
I won't name names, but I've had conversations with a couple of people, and those people all pointed to it being far closer to a reboot, like a new fantasy IP with the Fable name slapped on it, basically. And I'm for that. I'm perfectly for that.
Right. They picked up The Initiative, which was something that I've been harping on for weeks with Daryl Gallagher. I knew he was going to be heading up a new studio. The studio is exactly where it is, Santa Monica, California, right next to Naughty Dog, so they can steal all their trade secrets. And they're going to be working. They're going to be working on a. According to Phil, their first title isn't going to be a new IP. Basically, according to Phil, in his own words, they're actually looking at some of their old franchises.
Yeah. Can I jump on this, Cal?
Sure.
Would you mind? Okay, so I report on this. I was actually, shout out to me, because I was one of the first people I know to report on Daryl Gallagher joining Microsoft Studios. And then the fact that, the job listing, which was very quickly taken down, myself and Jez Corden from Windows Central were the first two people to report on that for our sites. So the fact is we kind of knew this was coming, but it's awesome to see it. Did you guys read Matt Booty's interview with Metro UK? If not, he basically confirmed that the way they founded this studio is once they had Daryl Gallagher on board, they handed him a blank check and said, you go pick out a team. You pick out a building in Santa Monica, we'll fund it. No questions asked. They then offered them, they said, you guys go off, figure out what you want to work on. This ties into what Phil Spencer talked about in the interview you were just talking about, where Matt Booty explained that they were offered, guys, you can make a new IP, or you can look at our existing catalog. Single player only, multiplayer only, a mixture of both. Whatever you want to do, this is yours. Go assemble the Avengers, to paraphrase. So... yeah, it's exciting.
No, I'm definitely excited. I feel like this team would be the perfect team to work on Perfect Dark. Obviously, you see the pedigree, at least Daryl's pedigree when it comes to, Crystal Dynamics running that studio, rebooting Lara Croft and the Tomb Raider franchise, which has been absolutely successful for them. I want this to be a new Perfect Dark, like a third-person action game. And the reason why I like Perfect Dark is I'm all about sci-fi. Like, I'm a big sci-fi fanatic. I'm a big fantasy fanatic. Those are like two of my favorite genres when it comes to games. So for me, Perfect Dark is one of those things where you're just borderline futuristic and just borderline espionage. And it falls along those categories where I want this game to be like the female version of Deus Ex. You know what I'm saying? I want this game to be Deus Ex, but I want it to be with all the platforming and adventure and many ways to take enemies out like a Tomb Raider. You got your stealth action. I just think it would be the perfect game to do that. You got a ton of gadgets. You got hacking skills, and you're still dealing with alien technology. Great. And then you could have another female flagship character on your board along with what's the character from Recore?
Jewel.
Absolutely.
Jewel. Right. So
bringing back Miss Dark would be a fantastic idea. And like you said, especially with Deus Ex on ice now, most likely permanently, if not then for a good dozen years or so, there's opportunity.
Right. Exactly. And would love it to be just a third-person action game. Like, I know some fans don't want that. They want to keep it first-person. We have so many first-person games out there at this point. Why do we need another one? And I know there's a lot of third-person games out there, but this game just falls up the alley. If you want to make it a hybrid, make it a hybrid. I remember Metal Gear having a hybrid set where you would be third-person action, and if you fire from the hit, it was third-person. But if you aim down sights, it literally went behind the gun. it zoomed in to a first person behind the gun type.
Yeah, like Ghost Recon.
Yeah, so you can make it like that if you really want to take it that far. But I just feel like it would be the perfect game to make and build build around that, and could really be something special. If they decide to make a new IP or go a different route, great on them. But I would hope that would be something they consider before they take a step anywhere else. But that's exciting. Now we already know about Undead Labs. Undead Labs it sounds like they're going to be making State of Decay 3. All I want from Undead Labs is a big budget AAA graphics.
Yeah, that's exactly. It. I mean, yeah, just continue. And I was very happy to see Microsoft pick them up, because it's definitely a situation where, okay, maybe we should support you guys more with State of Decay 2. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. We'll help you hire some more devs, get some more budget, some dedicated servers. Sounds good. And they also confirmed, by the way, again, keeping in this theme of creative control being given to the studios, but they've confirmed Undead Labs wants to make more State of Decay. They are fully allowed to make a new IP if they so choose.
Right. Anchor, thoughts on, have you been playing State of Decay?
No, not yet. Okay. I got to finish my backlog first. I'm trying to finish Hellblade first, finish up a couple other games. I'm like, okay, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, enough's enough. I gotta get some of these games out of here.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens, man. I don't know. We'll definitely see what happens going forward. I just hope that they definitely have somebody or interested in making this game into a fully fledged AAA IP at this point, because the game deserves it. It really does. You have a growing fan base. Just taking this thing to the next level would be the ideal fit for the third game. And hopefully they're able to do that and actually make the game co-op, because that's what people really want. Compulsion Games is obviously a dope studio. If you guys don't know who Compulsion Games is, some of these guys are ex-BioShock developers. If you look at
BioWare.
BioShock.
No, you've been saying BioWare for like the last 3 days. Like every time we talk about it.
I could have sworn I said BioShock.
You've been saying BioWare for the last 3 days. Okay.
I've been looking at my Twitter. Pretty sure I put BioShock.
I don't watch Twitter. This is based on what you talked about to me. So,
okay.
Yeah. Either way, I'm all down for that. BioShock's even better than BioWare.
It's a 40-man studio. I got to jump in on this real quick, and there's a reason I'm going to build to it. It's a 40-person studio, including their PR, but they're based out of Montreal. Great talent there. Good opportunity to grow, tap into the Canadian gaming scene. I actually ran into Nyla, who is the PR manager for Compulsion Games, a lovely young woman, and we talked to her on the show floor, myself and Lord Cognito, and she explained that they were given the same deal Ninja Theory and all these other devs were, where Microsoft came to them and said, look, we like what you do. You will have full creative control and our full financial backing if you will come and be a part of the Microsoft Studios family. And that after they agreed, she said that, the ink was drying, and wherever she goes at E3, Microsoft employees are always telling her, like, welcome to the family. It's awesome to have you guys. She compared it to them making their own home craft brew beer for a couple of years, in a basement or whatever. And then Budweiser comes along and says, what you're doing is awesome, but we want you to do it on our factories. And that's fantastic. And she said it was even into the situation where they were like, look, have you seen We Happy Few? Have you seen BioShock? Do you guys understand the type of games we make? We make single player stuff that's kind of messed up in the head, actually, if you really think about it. And Microsoft said, yes, that's what we want. We want that. Yeah. So I cannot emphasize the point enough about how we're seeing a culture shift at Microsoft now that Phil has full creative control.
I said this before. I literally went in a huge rant about a year and a half ago about how Microsoft was holding Xbox back. I got killed for it. Everybody was like, you're a flip-flopper and get off the ledge. I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, Microsoft is holding. I've never seen Xbox like this. Like, I've never seen them not market the games they should be marketing, not invest in the way they should be investing. You look at the first 2 generations of what they were trying to do and look at the Xbox One, it is a huge difference mid-generation compared to the last 2 generations. And something was getting in the way of that. I didn't know what it was, but eventually you do find out it was Windows. And it's the truth. They literally were going through Terry Myerson and the Windows division before they can get things done. I mean, I've heard that he had actually stunted some of the growth that Microsoft had. And once he got out of the way, Phil got promoted. Microsoft became its own division, and it was its own gaming section because of Satya looking at the division as something that should be a part of Xbox and not a part of, being under Windows. That changed everything. And now Phil's got the keys, and you just start to see all of these changes that's been happening over and over and over. And that's great, man. I'm really excited about what they've been doing and how they've been investing. And you can even hear it when Phil talks about it. He even said something very similar. He's like, you just got to understand it was a lot of red tape for Xbox to get things done. And now that red tape is gone and out of the way, Microsoft looks at Xbox differently than they were. You can see the results of that. And like you said, with Compulsion Games, a 40-man studio is eventually going to turn into a 150-man studio, or maybe a 200-man studio, because Microsoft is going to give those guys the backing and the resources that they need to make great games. And if you love BioShock and you love that style and you love the way, when you look at We Happy Few, it gives you that whole BioShock feel, like a mystery. You don't know what's going on, what's happening. You're just trying to figure things out. And along the way, you just know there's a lot of plot twists and something that really might shock you and surprise you. And that is great. You need storytellers like that. So Microsoft seems to have locked up some really great studios that have potential to produce some really great games. And of course, the biggest bomb of them all, Ninja Theory signing to the Xbox family. And that was just big.
Ninja Theory is, what can we say about that? It's incredible. I still can't believe it's happened. Ninja Theory is an incredibly talented, highly underrated studio, in my opinion. They produced Hellblade with $10 million from their company savings and on a 20-man team.
Right.
Imagine what they can do with all 100 people plus any new hires now with Microsoft's full financial backing.
Right.
It's incredible. And I presume you guys saw the video they put out?
Yes. Yeah, I saw it.
I would recommend any fan of Ninja Theory to watch that video. You absolutely need
I have not watched the video, but I did read the comments.
Okay, yeah. Yes, there's some salty comments. There's some salty comments out there. But the comments on that video separate the fans from the fanboys, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. Because what they did, they explained, look, they don't want to make a game and then fear that the studio is going under if it doesn't sell well. They've realized, no, we want backing. And if Microsoft will give them that financial security and the marketing team support, but give them full creative control, I'm telling you right now, and I heard others say this at E3 in the media lounge when we were all talking together, Ninja Theory could one day be Microsoft's Naughty Dog.
I think I look at Ninja Theory and you talk about making a great game. And I didn't play Hellblade, but just based on what I've watched, based on what I've seen and everybody that I've spoken to, supposedly it's a really great game. The sound effects in the game are really top notch, and that's what really sets the game apart from anything else because of the whole mental illness situation premise of the game. Imagine that being done on how many people they had? 20?
Yeah, they did Hellblade on 20 people, and that includes marketing and PR.
Okay, so you had 20 people with $10 million. Imagine having this same creative team with, 100 people and $75 million or $100 million. Bro, you want to talk about the sky is the limit with a studio like this? This is insane. And I'm like really excited to see. And the crazy thing about it is they got them at the right time because they just finished Hellblade. They just finished the game. Yep. They just released it on Xbox. The next game coming out is going to be a full-blown exclusive. We probably won't see that game till about 2021 on the next platform. But man, I am so excited to see what they're going to be developing and what their new IP could be. I'm very excited for it. And that's what Microsoft needed.
Exactly.
But yeah, not just that. Like they literally got them at the perfect time. Again, like really irritating that point. They proved, first of all, they can do something that Microsoft values almost more than anything else. You can make good product on budget, on time.
Exactly.
Because that's something that like they were not getting that with Platinum. On budget, on time. Nope. Now, Ninja Theory proved they can do that, and they could do so well.
Right.
And like that is a huge thing to them. And so that means that they're responsible, and they can get stuff done, and have critical acclaim, and they launched the thing on PlayStation first, So now everyone acknowledges them as being a great studio.
And yes, and that I want to hound that last point. Ninja Theory is a studio that many, including myself, have associated with PlayStation in the past. They made, Heavenly Blade or Heavenly Sword, excuse me, Heavenly Sword, Enslaved. Sony had the marketing on that. Hellblade was a timed exclusive. So, in terms of studio acquisitions, the gloves are now off.
The coolest thing about it is that they said that they plan to do more. It's not just the E3 thing. If the right studio pops up at the right time and it's the right get, they will make him and Matt Booty will make the decision to go and get that studio. And I said this before, once they came out with Game Pass, it was absolutely really important that they continue to put first party content on there. The way
that's how the Netflix model works.
That's how it works. You have to constantly put fresh, brand new content on there. It doesn't have to be a new IP, but as long as it's first party and you're putting out these big quality titles out there, people are going to sub for $10. It is super important that they do that. And that's what Netflix has done. I look at Netflix and I am so happy that I have it. All the stuff that they put out over the last couple of months and years, the deals that they have with Marvel and the series, they do a great job. And Microsoft is saying that they're not trying to be Netflix, but they're trying to give you more options to play. And you can see the success. You can see the success. They said that they made more sales on Sea of Thieves in 3 months than they thought they were going to make, period. And that's with Game Pass, and that's huge.
Yeah, and not only that, State of Decay 2 as well. They said both State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves have sold at least 50% of the copies in terms of players that they have. So State of Decay 2 has sold over 1 million copies. Sea of Thieves has sold over 2 million copies, and both are exceeding their expectations. So even though they may not have reviewed very well, you know what? Undead Labs and Rare, double down on the content and the improvements, and your fan base will be happy.
Exactly. And you got all these studios that's going to be out there making your single player experiences and your action games. And then you have these other franchises like Halo, Gears, and Forza that is your multiplayer staples, as well as they have their own campaigns. And I'm sure Microsoft will invest in more multiplayer titles and service games over time. They're going to have a streaming service sometime next year, or not next year, but in the future. And then, of course, they also are working on the next Xbox, which they stated will be a benchmark console.
They're not letting the power narrative go.
I said this. I talked about this. Didn't I tell you guys? I told you the next console is going to come out. It's going to be $500. Like everybody's like, nah, man, they're going to go back to. I'm like, bro, they not giving that power joint up. They want that in their favor going forward. As long as Phil is in charge, every Xbox that come out. Would be $500.
Xbox is going to be synonymous with power.
It's going to be power all
the time. This is how big of a deal it is. Like I go to work, and my job is a lot of older people who are not paying attention to video games or anything like that. They're buying for their kids or whatever. And so I noticed this, and so it'll come up, and we talk about like Xbox, PlayStation on occasion because they know I'm the gaming guy, and so I tell them, yeah, you should buy this game for your kids or something like that. And so I'll talk to them, and it's funny because it was like, okay, so yeah, they asked me, like, well, what do you play on normally? As I play on Xbox. Oh, you're all about that power. Mm-hmm. The power narrative has dominated. Like it is. They have really got something going on here with this. There's just Xbox is going to be synonymous with power now, and it's going to work in their favor.
And that's what I was saying. I said this with the 360. The thing that made 360 great for Xbox wasn't the fact that it was overly more powerful than PlayStation, but it didn't lag behind PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Like certain, at least the multiplayer games for Xbox ran better on the PlayStation and possibly looked better resolution-wise because a lot of games were 720 based on what they did design-wise, and the cell chip really worked great for PlayStation. But the thing that also made the 360 great was that it was easy to work with for every developer. So every dev hopped on the tools because it was so easy to work on that platform in comparison to the PlayStation. So a lot of people gravitated to it because you just had better games that ran better on the 360. The Xbox One X is doing similar things, but the console is already in a mid-generation. It's already done. Like the generation's pretty much done at this point. However, it just goes to show you whatever impact that it did have was significant enough for them to recognize that that is not something they should let go. They should have the best tools for developers. There's a reason why they went out and bought Havok, and they bought all of these video game designing platforms and stuff like that. Like, no matter what you're building, no matter what you're doing, they are heavily invested in gaming, and you're paying Microsoft to use all their resources. And on top of that, now you're talking about ray tracing, streaming, using Azure for the servers, and actually streaming games from those servers. You're taking it to a whole nother level. They wanted you to be able to play Gears 5 on your phone and not have to worry about the phone that you have, because you can play it from the server. The server will do the work for you.
And I want to dive in on this. They're capitalizing on the weakness of PS Now, which has been that poor quality, you know, for people who don't have great internet. Now, I'm going to need to see it to believe it. Make no mistake. I'm going to need to see it to believe it for them to get console-level quality streaming. But if they do, that's how Xbox is going to hit 2 billion gamers. That's how they're going to have forward compatibility, because it's going to be a situation of, okay, you want the absolute best graphics, you play your game on the newest box we've come out with. If not, the Xbox One, the Xbox One X aren't going to run next-gen games, but they'll be able to stream them. You'll be able to stream those games. And the phone market, they're going to be hitting a market that doesn't buy consoles anyways. So it's not dividing the pie. It's not encouraging people not to get an Xbox. It's reaching consumers, many millions and millions of consumers that wouldn't be getting an Xbox anyways.
Right. I can't talk enough about this plan. This is like a damn diabolical plan. Where is superhero? Where is the Avengers when you need them? Somebody stop Microsoft. This is getting out of control.
Cal, let's calm down. They've still got a ways to go. This was a fantastic E3. I feel safe saying this was their best E3 ever. Honestly, I really do. Phil snapped his fingers on stage and more than doubled their first-party investment. 6 new studios, because Playground has 2.
Correct.
Bam. Absolutely. However, they've still got a ways to go. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
They do. Listen, I don't want to jump to the. Listen, I think what it is if you're an Xbox fan, you've heard a lot, you've seen a lot, you've been at the butt end of jokes, and you've been being put down the whole generation. You try to keep positive attitude. You play the games that's presented. If you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. Here's the thing. What Microsoft has done today was reassure the fans. So it's not today, excuse me. What they've done at E3 was reassure the fans that they are investing. And you've purchased high quality studios that fans, we here at Tick have been begging them to do since 2014. And to finally see it happen, to finally get that out there, even though, Sony's been doing it. And so that's Sony. Sony could do what they've been doing. We're talking about Xbox and what Xbox needs to do. And they have done that. And that's a big deal if you're a fan. And obviously it was impactful because it was so impactful. 90% of media said Microsoft won, not only for the studios, but for the games that they presented. Even when Sony showed some really great games, I swear to you, I love Ghost of Tsushima. I cannot get over the way that game looked. And I love the fact that they really showed when he hit dude with the one shot on some real samurai stuff. Like he just one time, like, man, that I was losing it. If I was doing a reaction show, that reaction was insane because I was hot. I was hype after that. But my thing was going on after the show. Obviously, the intermissions killed me. And some of the other stuff that I saw was okay. I've seen The Last of Us enough times to know I know The Last of Us is going to look great, so I'm not really too blown away by it. And then the Spider-Man, I'm going to keep it 100. I don't know about y'all. I know Spider-Man looks graphically impressive, but when I watch the gameplay, Spider-Man just looks like Spider-Man. Like, it just looks like another Spider-Man game. I'm not trying to downplay it.
Having played it, we'll disagree.
I get that. I'm just telling you, having looked at it and watching the combos and watching them fight, it looks
specifically like that demo did not do well.
It looked like now, if I was there playing it, maybe I would have a different impression. But I'm just saying, based on what I saw and what I seen playing, it looked like another typical Spider-Man game. It was the same type of moveset, like beat a guy up, jump in the air, do a combo, web him, swing him around. It was typical Spider-Man fanfare. So graphically, I'm sure it was impressive. Swinging through the city looks gorgeous, but it just wasn't something that captured me that made it so different that I was like, damn, I got to get that Spider-Man game. So, we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, man, Sony's conference was solid, but I didn't think it was that great. You know, you think about what people say about Xbox conferences and how they say like, oh, well, Microsoft showed the same thing they did last year and the year before that. That's no different. Like, it was literally the same stuff we've already seen other than Ghost of Tsushima, and they announced Neo 2. So, you know, it is what it is. Some fans liked it. Some people say that Microsoft didn't show enough exclusives. We went over every exclusive they had, and they had a ton of other exclusives that were timed. And then they showed
Battletoads.
And Battletoads. And they showed they didn't show gameplay of Battletoads, but they showed Battletoads. The thing that wowed me the most was Jump Force. I am an anime head. People know I'm an anime head. When I first seen it, and I was like, okay, I was looking at the environment and they showed Luffy's ship. And I'm like, okay, they got a, it was funny because I was like, okay, they got a One Piece game. Then they showed Frieza's ship. It clicked like when Krillin dies in Dragon Ball Z and Goku flips and turns into a Super Saiyan. It clicked for me. And I was like, are you serious? Like, is this J All-Stars? And then like they just go on and they show you Naruto, bro. When they start showing the battle, I literally thought the whole thing was just like CGI animation. I didn't know that was the actual game. Then I saw the actual game, bro. I was on the floor. That was it. They had me at hello. That was it. I was in love. I was like, oh my God, I got to get this game. And then I was watching gameplay of Sasuke versus Zoro. Oh my. And they have all the moves, bro. When that game comes out, y'all not going to see me. Hey, Tick Podcast going on hiatus because I'm going to be playing that game for days. I am so excited for this game when it comes out. And to see it on Xbox stage was huge for me. And Tales of Vesperia was huge for me as well.
Hey, their Japanese game representation, I want to dive into that. It was fantastic. Showcasing Jump Force, strengthening that relationship with Bandai Namco. I mean, like you just dived into, I can't do it justice, but Jump Force is an anime nerd's dream. That's all there is to it. And I can confirm there are more crossovers coming in that game that people do not yet know about, as I spoke with Bandai Namco representatives. But like, let me go in a little more here. Okay. But they addressed criticisms in terms of I said this before and I'll say it again, they don't need to get Japanese exclusives. They just need to make sure PlayStation isn't getting Japanese exclusives.
Absolutely.
Jump Force debuted on their stage. People think Bloodborne 2 is happening. Ha! We'll debut From Software's new game on our stage. It looks like Ninja Gaiden Reborn. People think Devil May Cry 5 is a timed PlayStation exclusive. We'll unveil that on our stage and have the director come out and address the audience in Japanese. And I loved it. The crowd loved it. The energy when Devil May Cry 5, the energy when Devil May Cry 5 was announced was fantastic. That was another of the loudest cheers in the building.
Go ahead, Anchor. What you gonna say?
Cal, you said, and I will say this from the last time, that there was no way any Japanese developer would come out on stage and address the public like that.
I did not say that. What I said was, don't put words in my mouth. Don't lie. This is why I won't take bets with you. It's exactly why, because you're a conniving person. I said that no Japanese person would come on stage and apologize to Xbox, let alone an American crowd in English, is what I said. Don't try to flip the script on me. Talking about I said with no Japanese people. Anyway.
But you also said Todd Howard wasn't going to show up on stage either.
You did say that, Cal. You did say that, Cal. You did say that.
All right.
And it was fantastic. But you know what? Again, diving into third party, that relationship with Bethesda, strengthening. Like, hey, Todd Howard, God Howard, the meme himself. Love that man. He walks out there, says we're getting Fallout 4 on Game Pass, shows us the first trailer for Fallout 76. That's power. That shows that even though Microsoft may not be the console leader in terms of sales, they still have that pull with these companies. They have that relationship. Having Cyberpunk hack its way as Phil is talking at the end to close the show, simply phenomenal. It was theatrical. I loved it.
All I want from Jump Force, I only want these characters in Jump Force. All I want from Jump Force is the film them put Gon and Killua in there from Hunter x Hunter. If I don't get those characters, I'm gonna lose it. I want Deku and All Might from My Hero Academia, and they gotta put definitely gotta put Ichigo in there from Bleach. They can pick whoever else they want. I don't care about nobody else in that. They should definitely put the chick from Kill la Kill. Like that's so man, I can go.
Oh, by the way,
this game, bro.
By the way, there was an article that said Kill la Kill game's coming out.
Yeah, I peeped that. My only gripe, I think, with the conference was that I wanted to see the Initiatives game, even though it wasn't ready. I always felt like they had something set up.
They just announced the studio. Give them a break.
Well, I feel like they were working on something. They just didn't want to announce the studio. You understand what I'm saying? Like they had they had a team.
I think you're close. I just think you're a year off. Like I stand personally. I have no evidence. I stand by the theory that a team at the Coalition has been incubating Perfect Dark, and that the Initiative is going to take it over. I just think we were like a year too early for that.
Yeah,
give them another year on that.
And then I just wanted to see Fable. Like
again, just a year. Give them a year.
I figured that much. I figured they'll show Fable either next year or if we're lucky at Gamescom, which I doubt. But
it won't be Gamescom.
Yeah, it won't be Gamescom. I figured. But I'm just saying that those were the only gripes that I had. And it really wasn't a gripe. I just was hoping that they would show it. Really just a hope or a want. Other than that, I thought the conference was spectacular. Again, Japanese presence was there, something that we have been begging for a very long time. Not so much about the exclusive content, but just not to get blown out. And they still got blown out in a way when it comes to Japanese content, but a step is a step, and that's good enough. The third-party support was huge. The marketing deals was huge. I thought that was really great and impressive. And then, of course, first party showed out as well, and that's really good. I mean, it's the first time I think I've seen Gears, Halo, and Forza on stage at the same time. And I thought that was really impressive for me. So, I gave Microsoft an A for the conference, and I'm sticking by that A. I felt like if they would have somehow snuck in Fable, like how Bethesda put in Elder Scrolls 6 in a goddamn mountain.
Yeah, all they had to do.
That's all they had to do.
Anything.
Like Fable in a forest.
Because it was unnecessary. Leave it for next year to strengthen next year's conference because they already had a killer lineup.
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, the Battletoads joint was huge. And to see that pop up, I heard it's 2.5D.
They literally said it was 2.5D.
Yeah, 2.5D.
So we did hear it was 2.5D.
Yeah, I heard it. Exactly. It's 2.5D. And the studio making is called Delilah Studios, and Rare is actually going to be helping them work on that, so that's pretty cool too. And I heard they got a good pitch on the game, and it's supposed to be really dope. So I can't wait to see how that pans out, man. But I thought Microsoft had a great E3. They had a great presser, and the team did a hell of a job. I don't know how they're going to top it next year. I mean, they can easily top it by showing games, new IPs, and exclusives. But man, they had a great show. They definitely had a great show this year. So what do you give them, Anchor?
I gave them like a B-. Like it was better than average. No, but because again, I said this over and over and over again that what they would have to show would be a brand new AAA IP. That's what I needed to see, and
which Ninja Theory will obviously be working on.
But they did not show that though. That's the key thing.
God.
They did not show that. Yeah, we know it's coming, but I wanted to see something.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. You said you needed to see an IP revival and a AAA. You didn't base it just off of that. Yeah. And so Battletoads is being revived. So you got to bump it up.
I know. I said that what I needed to see that was from them, and that's why they got above average.
Man.
C was passing.
Man, you are a hard critic. Yeah, you're a hard critic, man. You better.
I am a hard critic. I gave Bethesda a B+. Like that's it. Like
you better hope they had
a great conference.
You better hope the Xbox fans don't vote you out come midterms.
I can't even begin to imagine what you gave Square Enix or Nintendo. Jeez.
Oh, Square Enix got a. Actually, I wrote this down somewhere. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Oh, don't get me started on Square.
I graded everybody. Oh, let's see. Let me pull this up here. Let me take a look at this. I had a list here.
What did you give it, Sam? You were there.
I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. So basically, I gave it an A, 9A plus. And the only reason it's not an A plus is because of the lack of new IPs. But even then, they're obviously coming. I cannot overstate the importance of saying, oh, by the way, we've got 6 new studios.
Right.
We now have as many studios as Sony does, just like that.
Right. I agree. I can't stress enough. Go ahead. What you gonna say, Anchor?
I got my grading list. All right, I wrote it down here somewhere. I got it. All right, so at the bottom, I gave Square Enix a D-. They didn't show anything worthwhile. They should have even had a conference.
Agreed.
EA gave them a D. Anthem existed. Like that was it.
Yeah,
Anthem existed.
That's fair enough.
Anthem was amazing to me. I'm so
there was no reason for them to have a conference.
Still right. And Anthem looks great, but
that's the only reason they didn't get an F. Ubisoft, they gave them a C+ because Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks dope, and they had a pretty diverse lineup of titles.
Mm-hmm. No Splinter Cell is
Sony
gut wrenching.
Yeah, Sony, I gave them a B- because their presentation sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man look good. Microsoft, I gave them a B because they gave us a roadmap. They gave us Japanese support and had a better show. Bethesda got a B+ because of Fallout 76, Rage 2, and Starfield. So that's what I gave them.
I don't know, man. I thought Bethesda should be up there too. That's tough.
Bethesda good.
Bethesda had the second best conference in my opinion.
I don't know, man. I grade stuff like I'm in school. A 6 is like a 60, bro. That's not a passing grade. Like that's not a passing grade for me, dog. And when I went to school, 65 was like a passing grade. 55 was completely failing, but a 65 was like a passing grade. And that was barely passing.
Yeah, 65 is an F, dude. Here, 65 is an F.
Damn, that means schools really have gotten harder since I've been out. I'm an old man at this point.
Yeah, no, basically what you were on was basically the college scale, like a 10-point scale. They got rid of that here. Now it's a 7-point scale. That's
crazy. So listen, I think Microsoft had a great show. I think they had a great conference and instilled a lot of confidence with the Xbox crowd and the Xbox gamers out there. You can see it as everybody tuned in. A lot of people tuned in. They made history on Twitch. And they did amazingly well on Mixer as well. So big shout out to them. Let's move from Microsoft real quick and try to close out the show a bit and touch on a few things. Obviously, Anchor gave his impressions of Square and gave his impressions of Sony and a few other things. I'm going to rattle off my thoughts on some of the other conferences, and I'll let Sam go ahead and rattle off some of his. Square Enix, to me, was tough. That was a very tough show for me. If you're an Xbox fan, I said this on Twitter, that show was not for you. It almost felt like Square was a whole nother studio for Sony because every game that came out was coming out for Sony as well. The only good thing was it was mostly multi-plat because they're also going to PC. So that was a plus. Maybe somewhere down the road, 6-7 months, maybe a year, it may come to Xbox, but that was got me in a tough position because I went out and built this PC and I might have to make a decision. Do I want to get them on PC or do I just wait for them to come to Xbox if they ever come to Xbox? Did you watch the Square Enix show, Sam?
I did not. However, I was told by other people that it was pretty terrible.
Okay.
Especially because why, Square, are you finally having a show again after all these years? Only to not show the Avengers game. What on earth?
Yeah, the only game anybody actually cares about.
The only game people cared about because Shadow of the Tomb Raider was at the Xbox conference.
They didn't show Final Fantasy VII either, and they showed the same trailer for Xbox. I mean, they showed the same trailer at the Square conference that they showed for Xbox.
For Kingdom Hearts 3, you mean?
Yeah, for Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah. And they gave Sony an entirely new trailer, which was amazing because it was like the Pirates of the Caribbean. The graphics were like way improved over the cartoon joints that they had for Frozen.
I mean, it's all Kingdom Hearts, so I couldn't really force myself to care. But
Kingdom Hearts is an amazing game, by the way. I love Kingdom Hearts. I feel old as hell now because I remember playing that game when I was really young, and it's just now getting to part 3, and I'm like 37, and that's getting up there. So yeah, that game's been out forever. Shut up, Anchorman. Anyway,
I didn't say anything.
I heard you say something.
I didn't say anything.
But that's a conference. I thought that's a conference wasn't as bad as other times. Starfield announcement was big, even though it wasn't nothing. Elder Scrolls 6 was solid. We know they're coming. Fallout 76 impressed me to the point that I'm going to be playing this game, and hopefully I'll team up with Anchor to play it.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about it.
We'll nuke the haters. It's gonna be
awesome. I gotta admit, man, it found the right it found the right balance for me, a combination of co-op and survival. I love these survival games, so I'm really excited to play Fallout 76. So I gave their conference a B. I thought their conference was actually pretty solid. A little slow, but pretty solid. Todd Howard was funny, especially the Elder Scrolls Skyrim Amazon joint with
for Alexa. Yeah,
Alexa. Like, that was hilarious.
Todd Howard was incredible.
He was great. Absolutely.
I gave them an 8.5.
Gotcha.
Fantastic conference, fantastic games. Except I would have liked a little more on Starfield. I felt that was like, okay, we wanted to see a little more there. And B, the presentation at the very beginning was a tad off. Other than that, it was fantastic.
Gotcha. Ubisoft conference. I thought Ubisoft conference was okay. I didn't think it was as bad as it was in previous years. Even though I didn't get a chance to see gameplay of Beyond Good and Evil 2, watching tech demos and knowing what they want to do with that game, and then seeing that vid presentation and finding out who the villain was, A+. I mean, that game alone was A+. So I gave them a B+, because Beyond Good and Evil 2 was just amazing to me. Division 2 is obviously going to be a pretty big game for them. They didn't show Splinter Cell, so that sort of hurt. We don't know what Splinter Cell is, if it will show up, if it's in development. But a lot of people expected to see Splinter Cell after all this time. Assassin's Creed, I don't know, man. I'm going to pass on it this year. I really am. I think I'm just going to hold out.
See, the funny thing is I'm in the complete opposite boat where Odyssey looks fantastic. The only issue I have with it is I wish they were going back to a 2-year cycle. Origins benefited from that. Their marketing, their PR benefited from that. And the fact that they're drowning us in games by going to a yearly cycle.
Yeah. Well, they said this was... Didn't they say this was...
There's two reasons for it, too.
Go ahead.
Well, there's two reasons for it, too. One, there's no Watch Dogs to fill the gap.
That's another game that didn't show up. Watch Dogs 3.
Yeah, because that's the thing. What they've been doing, they've been alternating between Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, because that's been kind of the thing with those. And then they've also been trying to alternate with can't remember the other game. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed as well. Anyway, so the thing is, they've been trying to alternate between those three to have like two of those franchises come out within a year of each other at the same time. Now, the only thing in particular, though, is that with Watch Dogs, no Watch Dogs this year, and they just had Far Cry come out. And so they really only had Assassin's Creed. But also the fact that I can almost guarantee you that game was cut content from Origins. Like
it looks like Origins with a new skin. You're right.
Because if you play Origins, it is way too close. Because like Origins, there's a whole sailing mechanic which is pointless. There's no reason for that to be in the game at all. Those sections could be entirely cut out and the game be just fine. And then they have like a whole section of the map in Egypt that doesn't even feel like Egypt. It feels like you're in Italy. It's like why is this here? Like this is it. Basically, what I came away from it thinking was that like it was originally a way more ambitious project. Like the whole thing of Assassin's Creed Empires at the time, that was a theory about what that game was, and I really do believe that. I think that it was so big, and they said we can't allow this to be a thing, so we're just going to instead throw out our game here, and we're going to split up into two different ones. And the development's already done in the first place, so we're good to go.
Gotcha. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna take a break from it. I played a little bit of Black Flag, quit that, didn't buy Syndicate, didn't buy Unity, and picked up Origins and loved it. Loved Origins so much that it was one of the best games I played. Probably the second best Assassin's Creed game I played, because I thought Brotherhood was absolutely amazing. It was pretty close to being a masterpiece for me for the Assassin's Creed franchise. But this one coming up, I'm going to pass. I'll just wait until a couple years and possibly pick that up. So yeah, Ubisoft for me was a B as well. Sony's conference, I will say that Sony's conference for the games, they definitely have my interest more than anything is Ghost of Tsushima. Spider-Man obviously looks very interesting, even though in my opinion, based on what I've seen, I don't see the hype behind it. You know what I'm saying? Again, don't kill me for it. This is just my personal opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Sure.
If you guys love Spider-Man and you're into what they've been showing with Spider-Man, more power to you. I just feel like based on what I saw gameplay-wise, it kind of just reminded me of Spider-Man. Graphically, it's impressive, and that's cool. It is on my radar to pick up as a game that I would like to play, but it's not something that I'm googly-eyed over. Ghost of Tsushima is the game. That is a game that I want. This is the game that I want to play. I am so excited to play this game. I'm just beyond ecstatic that I get a chance to play it. Death Stranding has me more confused than I have ever been confused in any game ever before. And it is typical Kojima. It truly is. It leads you someplace special. And when it drops you off, you don't know what the hell is going on. You don't know what you're looking at. You just don't know. And I'm just really stuck on the fence when it comes to Death Stranding. Very interesting concept, though. And scary as hell. In a suspenseful, freaky kind of way. Not scary, hot, jump scare type of way. I don't do VR. So none of the VR stuff mattered to me. Last of Us is cool, but I didn't play the first one yet. So, I don't know what you guys want me to say, man. Like, I don't know. All I can say is that conference to me wasn't great. There was times where I was just like, did it start? Did it end? Like, I didn't know what was going on. The intermission in between. The one thing I gave a shout out to was, even though people hated the intermissions, the guys that they had cheering on the PlayStation conference was has the best brainwashing techniques of any commentary I could think of. You want to talk about a couple guys that's like, man, this game was the greatest game ever. It was amazing. Like, they literally hyped the hell out of these games and hyped the hell of it to high hell, to the point that it was just like, man, maybe he's right. Maybe this game really is amazing. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that kind of impressed me, because it was almost like when you have someone cheering on your game so much, it convinces the fan base that if you really was on the fence for the game, is actually better than what you might have thought it was. And not saying that the game is bad, but I'm just saying that they did a great job in what they were meant to do, which was basically show praise to the game and hype the game. Other than that, I didn't really like the conference at all. I was left confused and kind of bugged out about what was going on. So I'm going to give them a C+. And that's because they showed some great games. Obviously, games that we've seen already, except for Ghosts, which I thought was amazing. But the intermissions, the moving of crowds, the 30 minutes before, and then the way it ended, I just was like, I didn't know if it ended or not. I was still waiting for more stuff to be shown. I expected more from Sony, and I didn't get it, and that's why I gave it a C+.
Now, my thing is, I will give. Here's one just larger observation about this E3 in particular, especially with Microsoft and the focus on Japanese titles.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam, I want to say this too, because I was right. Back at PSX about Shadows Die Twice.
I can't believe that.
You said, "Oh, this is Bloodborne. This is a Bloodborne teaser." And I said, "No, it isn't." It's like, this sounds like a new IP.
Dude, I said it was a new IP as well.
No, you didn't. You said it was a Bloodborne teaser.
I did no such thing. I said no. I did not, and I will dig up the videos and send the sound bites to you. The reality is,
show me them receipts.
I will, happily. I said it's going to take influence from Bloodborne, which, spoiler alert, it does. But
like every From Software game, I think it's almost the same game.
I thought I didn't get a chance to talk about Shadows Die Twice. I just want to say I was completely impressed with the game when I saw it.
It looks great.
It was so fast, and it had the grappling hook like Tenchu, and I just felt just like, wow, this is just amazing. Like, I can't wait to get my hands on it, and I've never felt that way about any game from software. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of whatever the game that they make. I forget what it's called. That just goes to show you how much I'm into
Dark Souls.
Yes, Dark Souls. I'm not really into those games, but that game in particular is amazing. And there's 3 samurai games, people. There are 3 samurai games coming. You have
It's the rise of Japan.
Yeah, you have Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. You have Neo 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, and that's really impressive too. So can't wait to get a chance to play some of those. I'm really excited for that, without question. Yeah. Nintendo's conference.
The reason why I brought up the From Software thing was the teaser at the end of Sony's conference when everyone was like, "Where's Bloodborne 2? Where's Bloodborne 2?" And then From Software shows up with their little logo at the end, and everyone's like, "This is it!"
You do not say we've got one last thing from Software. You don't do that. They know that name has power. They know people want Bloodborne 2. That ain't funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious. I was dying. I was like, yes. I love trolling.
Very quickly, I just want to touch you on Control because it was brought up in chat. Shout out to Delilah. When I saw Control, I immediately thought it was Quantum Break and it was exclusive to PlayStation. And I kind of got irritated for half a second. Because I was
Why would you think it was exclusive to PlayStation if you knew that their project was multi-plat?
Because I know the thing, and that's the funny thing about it. I knew it was multi-plat, but the fact that it looked like Quantum Break so much, I literally got irritated for 30 seconds. Like, yo, do they really have a game like Quantum Break coming out? And then when I realized, oh, this is Remedy's game. Okay, this is the multi-plat that's coming out. Everything sort of subsided. But I was just, because I was like, you got fans that killed Quantum Break so much for what it did and the way the game played. Obviously, a lot of people killed it because it had the, live action cutscenes in it that you can skip, obviously. But a lot of people killed it for that, and as well as some of the game mechanics people felt wasn't good. Maybe they fix all of that in this new game. But I just sort of felt it was a bit hypocritical to praise the game that is exactly or very similar to Quantum Break. And then you had this game and you're like, oh my God, it's the greatest game since sliced bread. And then, it's a multi-plat title. It just was weird to me. So Control looks cool, man. It's cool. It just seems like the spiritual successor of Quantum Break, or everything that they wanted to do in Quantum Break that they didn't get a chance to do because of the time mechanics. So
I saw 30 minutes of footage behind closed doors with an elite group of press, so I'll have more to say about that later in the week. But spoiler alert, if you're a Remedy fanboy like I am, you should be very excited.
Yeah. All right, let's finish up and then we'll jump into the chat. So very quickly, Nintendo's conference. I don't know when Nintendo's conference started. All I know is I turned to it and they were going on about Super Smash Bros. For like 40 minutes. At least that's how I felt. I didn't understand. I thought Banjo was going to pop up on there, and it didn't. And it Ridley popped up at the end, and I just was like, okay, Ridley, okay. But if you're a Smash guy, it must have been humongous for you. It must have been exciting. All I care about was Mario Party. That's all I cared about because I'm a big Mario Party fan from my GameCube days, and I could see me, my wife, and my son playing that game for hours because it's one of those type of games that you just get lost in. So that kind of had me excited and made me think about getting a Switch. But other than that, I just wasn't impressed with Nintendo's conference at all. I expected so much more from Nintendo after the strong debut that they had when they first launched.
I don't know. I walked away from Nintendo's conference kind of disappointed because, all I wanted was Smash Bros. And yeah, they gave a lot of Smash Bros. Content, but it just kind of seemed, I don't want to call it lazy, but it was like, okay, this wasn't the kind of announcement I wanted. Like, I wanted to see, like, okay, yeah, it's coming out. Like, yeah, it's great. Every past Smash fighter is coming back. Great. Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to see more new characters. And yeah, Ridley. Oh, boy, Ridley. I'm so excited for Ridley. Like, I wanted to see more third-party announcements. Like, if they started off, like, if they had started off like they did last time by saying, hey, Mega Man's going to be in the game. I'm like, that would have been huge, like they did last time. But this was like, okay, it's not the end either. Like, there's probably going to be a few announcements down the line. But Nintendo I came off from the impression
Nintendo will hold more directs, so that's the thing.
Clearly. Like, I'm not worried about that. I'm more just concerned that it's like, okay, this was not the way I wanted them to show it off, and to me, I get more of a stronger feeling of this is a port with all these characters from the past. That's it. I just got that impression, but they streamlined like a lot of the final smashes and stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I mean, I'm told it's a new game. I just did not get that impression.
My thing with Nintendo, was that I always say this. I grew up as a Nintendo fanboy. You know, I wasn't a Genesis guy. I used to have battles in the 6th grade over what was better, Genesis or Super Nintendo, and we would argue down to the books. Like, hey, Nintendo's books got colors and Genesis doesn't. Sonic can't swim and Mario can run and swim and throw fireballs. Like, we would go back and forth on that for hours. So I was a huge Super Nintendo fanboy. And then I didn't get a 64 because my mother couldn't afford it at the time. It was really expensive. So I had the SNES for a very long time until I was about 16. And then I got a PlayStation 1. So I skipped the whole 64 era. I never had an N64. And then I just became a PlayStation guy. And then I just forget about PS2. I was just lost. PS1 and PS2 just captured me. It lost me with PS3. And then I got captured with 360. So my thing is that with Nintendo, I wanted Nintendo to try to get back to what they were doing. And I felt like they were on the path to doing that. And I was getting really excited about wanting to buy a Switch and get back into playing Nintendo. But I just didn't get it. People wanted Metroid. I was looking for bench rate. People wanted certain types of RPGs, like a Mario RPG would be great to get back. That was one of the first RPGs I ever played, and I haven't seen that, return. I don't know if it was on the Wii U because I wasn't interested in Wii U or not, but there was just certain games that I was expecting to see and I didn't get. And it was such a big concentration on Smash Brothers that I just wasn't impressed with the conference. So for me, Nintendo got a D. Like a D plus, I would say maybe like a C minus if I'm being generous.
And that release date is horrible. How dare they? Like,
December is way later than I would have liked from them.
Yeah, like that game should be coming out August, July, like especially because the impression they gave is that it's pretty much done and it looks like it's a port of just all the old stuff from beforehand. Like we should be waiting for December for this.
Right. Right.
So, because basically you're telling me I'm not going to play my Switch for about a year. That's basically what you're telling me.
Yeah,
I haven't played it all this year.
The only thing I have to say about the Switch is that I said this when they first came out. People always talk about how the Switch is going to pass the Xbox, but I always bring up this fact. The Switch is a 9th generation console. I don't know why people don't acknowledge that, because the way the console jumped out and they kind of try to put it in this generation, but it's not. When the next platforms come out, it's bad enough the Switch is not getting third-party games or certain third-party games because the graphics and some of the things that you do in the game, the Switch just can't handle. A lot of these games are being dumbed down and they don't look that good. And there's a big audience on Switch, do not get me wrong. But at some point, when those next generations of consoles come out, which isn't that far off, the Switch is still going to be a very young platform. Maybe like 3 years old or 4 years old at that point. You're not just going to drop that platform but then compete with the Generation 9 platforms for Xbox and PlayStation. That thing is going to get crushed. You're talking about not getting any third-party games now. You're not getting a damn third-party game from the 9th gen consoles from Xbox and PlayStation. So they're really going to get left behind. And I keep saying that. I don't know why Nintendo, and don't get me wrong, I get it. They're playing to their demographic. But at some point, you're not going to get third-party games. And you're asking developers to then sort of go with a different architecture from what PlayStation and Xbox is going to be doing, and then also dumb down the game or make the game less capable than what the other games is, just to play to an audience so they can have third-party content. And that's exactly what happened with the Wii and why they got left behind. And they're going to wind up getting left behind again. No one thought about that when I said that. Everybody just looked at the sales of the Switch. It was like, oh my God, it's so amazing. Yay. But again, when you're not getting Starfield and you're not getting the next big third-party game from Rockstar, or the next big third-party game from 2K or BioWare or whatever, you know what I'm saying, EA, you're going to be feeling stupid. So it's like, if you're a Switch-only player, then you're kind of out of luck. But hopefully you have one of the other platforms, Xbox or PlayStation, to balance that out. And maybe that's what Nintendo is riding on and just keeping their exclusive. So we'll see what happens with that overall. But yeah, I'm going to give Nintendo's conference a D+ for me. That was a D+ for me. Absolutely. All right. So listen, man, we are coming up on the end of our show. It was a great week for E3. We saw a lot of games. Sam, anything crazy happen while you were out there in LA?
Anything crazy? So some fun stories. 2 of them really quick. I mean, really, really quick. One, I got to have drinks with Mike Ybarra and Dan McCulloch, who is the head of Xbox Live. That was really cool. Got to meet with them, chat with them. Great guys. Just talked about games. We also hung out with PlayStation Bra, Tim Dog, Megatron, a bunch of the Twitter crowd. It was a great time. Fantastic time. Also, out of the blue, randomly ran into Reggie Fils-Aimé himself.
Hey,
that was a hard guy to find.
My body is ready, Reggie.
Yes, and it was cool because it was actually at the demo for Control. Remedy's team accidentally bumped us up. Like, we were supposed to get a 1:30 appointment. They scheduled us for 2. So they're like, we're so sorry. Just hold on a few minutes. Sit by the chick who's handling marketing. We'll figure this out, get you in the next showing. Well, all of a sudden, I tap Lord Cog on the shoulder because this parade of armed bodyguards comes into the Remedy booth with 505 Games, who is the publisher. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what on earth? Because these guys are jacked. You know, they're all several hundred pounds, wearing the bulletproof vest. You can clearly see that they're armed. And then in the middle, with his trademark look, there he is, Reggie, the man himself. He walks right by us to go check out Control and introduces himself, shakes his hand, asks for our names. That was really cool. It's cool to meet him. It was literally a 5-second greeting, but still, it was cool because it was one of those things where that could only happen at E3. You're only going to randomly bump into Reggie at E3. We could not have planned that kind of meeting if we had wanted it.
Y'all guys didn't have any business cards on you?
I don't think we would have been allowed to give them, dude. Okay. However, we also had a chance to run.
Yeah, trying to assassinate Reggie. How dare you?
Yes, seriously, dude. I guess PlayStation is sending ninjas after him or something. He is guarded. He is guarded.
It was like that last year. I saw Phil in the Xbox conference, and I bumped to him for like about 7 seconds when he got off stage, and we shook hands. And I was trying to see if it was a time that we could link up, but the security was pushing him along, and he was like, "Yeah, send me an email and let's try to set something up." And I was like, all right, cool. The dude had like 5 or 6 bodyguards around him. Because these guys are real popular people. So, yeah, you're going to get people rushing them. Yeah,
I understand it. And the other really cool thing, I have so many E3 stories I'll be sharing on my Twitter feed and cool pictures and stuff over the week as I share the articles out, is I got to run into Cory Barlog, the man himself.
Nice.
And we were literally getting some food. Cog was trying to set up a reservation. They kept losing his name, which was a funny story in and of itself because we're dying of hunger here. All of a sudden, he's like, Sam, that's Cory. And we both look at each other and we go running out the door. And we're like, because Cory's walking down the sidewalk. We're like, Cory. And so he was like, hi, guys. And he's a very soft-spoken guy, real nice person. You know, talked with him about how we were media, huge fans of God of War, huge fans of, you know, how he sort of turned around Sony Santa Monica, what he did with the team there. Big fans of his work. Took pictures with us. I got my picture up on Twitter, actually. Fantastic dude.
Man, that sounds like fun. I love going to E3. I can't wait to go next year. I'm really excited. Every time I go to E3, I always experience something new or something crazy. Man, remember Anchor? When we first got them hotel rooms? When we first got that bed and breakfast?
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Anchor hits me up. He's like, dude. I'm like, what? He's like, dude, there's 3 French girls in here right now. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, my God.
Dude, there's 3 French girls in here. You guys got to hurry up. Right? 10 minutes later, he calls me. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what is Anchor going to, like, what are we going to really do? Like, seriously, what are we going to do? I hit Anchor up. Anchor's like, where you guys at, man?
Some of us aren't married, okay? Some of us aren't married.
It's funny stuff. It's like, we had this bed and breakfast. We were sharing this, like, apartment with these French girls. It was so funny, though. They would hit me up. It was him and, was it B? No, it wasn't. B and B was together. It was you and Addict. Yeah, you and Lord Addict. Yeah, that was funny. That was good times, though. But anyway, So yeah, man, listen, that's going to be it for our show this week. I'm very grateful to have Sam here and glad we were able to send him out there to report for us over at Tick Games Network. Make sure you go check out our home website, ticgamesnetwork.com. We are definitely working diligently to try to get a forum up and get some really cool back-end access for you guys out there who like rocking with us and listening to Tick Podcast, IOP, Multiverse, and 2XP. When you get a chance to stop on Tick Network's channel. We're going to try to do a quick Q&A. I know it's extremely late, but we have so many people in here who were asking us questions while we were talking. So go ahead, ask your questions, put a question mark at the end of the statement, and we'll definitely try to answer them to the best of our ability based on what you guys want to ask us. Again, great E3 this week. Great job from Sam. Great job from Lord Cognito. Great job from Lord King David. These guys did an amazing had amazing coverage out there. King was out there just doing his thing. I seen all of I watch all of his what's it called when you oh my god, what is it called?
Shirt porn.
Yeah, like no, what is it? This Periscope. I watch all his Periscope videos and stuff like that, especially when he was giving out shirts at EA Play, which I thought was hilarious. And that was pretty cool of him and handing out those ILP shirts. Shout out to King if you're out there. And that's going to be it for this week, man. So listen, make sure you check us out on iTunes. Very important. If you don't get a chance to listen to the show live, you can catch us on iTunes at TIC Podcast as one word, and look us up through Apple. On Google Music, you can look us up as TIC Podcast as well on Google Music. We are on the Stitcher app, and we are on Podbean. We have a podcast website. If you just want to look up the website, it is podcast.tickpodcast.com, and our content will be uploaded there weekly, and we'll try to keep that up to date as much as we can. Again, we do a lot of great stuff. We cover video games. We have interviews. We talk to developers. It's gotten a little bit harder to do over the years, obviously for a number of reasons, but we're still doing it. We're still working our way towards that and still continuing to build that. And we're working on some projects now as we speak. Check out the home website as always. And we will be here as a premier podcast for Xbox for you guys out there in both YouTube and on streams, wherever you want us to us at home, work, or at school. So I'm your host, Kara S. Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox with Anchorman V and Direwolf 484. Shout out to our brother B Money 101. And we are out of here. You guys have a great night. Peace. All right. So listen, man. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for stopping in. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Andrew Wilkins. He is our resident troll. The man supports us, though. I mean, listen, I know everybody gets on him. He trashes Xbox. I've never had a person who hates Xbox so much yet supports an Xbox related podcast and donates to us and stuff like that. And that's appreciative, man. He trolls, but he donates. I mean, how can I complain? That is a hard thing for me to complain about.
The man puts his money where his mouth is. He uses his money to troll us. So
he absolutely does. And that goes a long way for us because we invest that back into our teams and all into keeping Tick and the Tick organization going. So that's big. We appreciate that. Big shout out to Arsenic Steel, Arthur Morgan, Future Generations for rocking with us. TF God, who is a regular, Doc Wiz, who's a regular, Louis Shark, who's a regular. Thank you guys for stopping out as always. Death Grips, thanks for hopping in, man. I appreciate you. MK28 as well. Thank you for stopping in. Delilah, JD, thank you guys for stopping in as always. Manuel Gonzalez, thank you, brother, for stopping in. Dizzy, my brother, thank you for stopping in as well. I try to give everybody a shout out if I can, if I catch the name. Rage, thanks. I know Edge was on for a little while. Big shout out to Edge. And a few other people. So I want to thank everybody for stopping out and hanging out with us tonight. Obviously, we talked about a lot. Z Black Rider, thank you as well. So if you got questions, go ahead and throw them in chat. We'll try to answer them. Go 13, thank you for stopping out. Appreciate you as well. Let's see here. So, trying to get to any questions. Andrew Wilkins says, at the Inner Circle podcast, I honestly don't hate Xbox. They haven't even tried to compete this generation. Of course they tried to compete. we've spoken about this a number of times. I don't think people understand the job that Phil had and don't understand the way Xbox works. Unlike PlayStation, PlayStation literally is its own division within Sony. It's its own business. Xbox was a division under a division. And in order for them to operate the way they had to operate, they literally had to go through a secondhand person to then get approval from another person. And that's not an easy task. It really wasn't. If you listen to some of Phil's interviews, he even talked about how his mentor had to convince Ballmer and Bill Gates at the time to go in a direction with Xbox and what they had to do. And to that time, everything was about Windows. It always was about Windows. It wasn't about Xbox. So them trying to really get Xbox off the ground and get it running and some investments, it was key. And he even acknowledged that, yeah, there was rumors of spinning the platform off and selling the platform, but the platform has been so successful and they've built such a strong base that when Satya came in, it was something that he knew nothing about. He just came from the cloud division. So being able to sort of school him and get him to understand what they were doing got him to trust them in that business. And that's the reason why why them getting promoted, the guy who was running Windows and who was the vice president at the time, Terry Myerson, is no longer there. The Xbox division is its own division at this point, and now you see them investing in first party, and you see the money that they're putting towards Xbox with the purchases and the investment in their games and stuff like that. So there's a huge difference. And the way they had to build that, it took time. You had to build your base level structure with Xbox Live and your services. So you have money, you have things to fall on if you need to take risk. You then turn around and you get your hardware structure in place. And now we know every Xbox going forward is going to be a benchmark type of console. And you got a great team building that. And now you're just working on first party. And here on out, you just should have nothing but great quality games or well-received games going forward. Everything's not going to be a hit. I don't want to say that. But you're going to have more chances to put out a hit than less chances compared to what you're doing now. And I think that's great for the Xbox brand and fans out there.
All right.
I think JD Gamer had a question. I saw his name at one point.
Yeah, I think he said, what studios do you think Microsoft should buy now?
Okay, so I've got 3. Studio MDHR, Moon, and Remedy. Now, I know what people are going to say. All 3 have said they want to be independent. That's absolutely true. Guess what? So did Undead Labs, Playground Games, and Ninja Theory at one point. Being given full creative control plus Microsoft's backing, that's a potent combo. All 3 of those games. They've had huge success with Moon Studios, with Ori. They've had huge success with Studio MDHR, with Cuphead, and Remedy would fill a niche that right now they still don't need. I mean, still don't have, but they need in terms of those cinematic style games. I'm kind of biased because I'm a Remedy fanboy, but I think all 3 of those in combination with the other teams that they just got, that would make for an extremely potent lineup.
I want Microsoft to get those studios, and I want them to snatch 2 studios from EA. I want them to get Respawn, and I want them to get BioWare.
I agree
more than anything.
I agree, but here's the thing. We both know EA isn't going to sell. Like, I would have loved them to say Visceral from EA. That would have been fantastic. That would have been phenomenal.
I'd rather take Respawn. Yeah, Respawn's my big one.
Yeah, but again, I agree. But the reality is we all know EA isn't going to sell.
Maybe. I don't know. I would like BioWare, though.
I mean, they'd have to make a doozy of a deal. Don't get me wrong. If they could keep them from going the way of Visceral, then that'd be fantastic. I just don't see it happening. I think you'd have more success starting up a new studio and then recruiting talent from those teams.
I agree.
Which, by the way, that would be a great thing to do to like revive Visceral. Start a new studio and say, hey, invite the old members from Visceral to come out there and make a horror game. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah. We'll just call them the Collective from now on. Keep with Microsoft's.
Hey, I gotta say, shout out to the Initiative for being an awesome studio name. I love that.
Yeah, I like the Initiative.
I absolutely love that name because I was really wondering what they were going to do. I was wondering if, like, are they just going to go with Xbox Santa Monica and just completely troll Sony?
That would have been cool.
That would have also been cool.
Love that.
Xbox Santa Monica.
But if they're not going to troll Sony, then saying the Initiative, that's a really cool name. I'm with it.
Yeah, it is. Mr. Kima, shout out to Mr. Kima, man. Big supporter of us, and he does awesome work out there for the Xbox community. He asked, was Tales of Vesperia on the Xbox show floor?
Yes, it was. There were only 2 booths, but yes, it was. They also had Kingdom Hearts 3, Jump Force, Code Vein, and Nier Automata. They had fantastic, and Soul Calibur. They had great Japanese representation there.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm so excited for Tales. I played Tales of Vesperia on the 360, one of my favorite games. I was disappointed that it was such a big fallout between Xbox and the Tales series, and I'm just very glad to see that they are working their way back to building those relationships again. I thought if you haven't seen Phil Spencer's interviews with Giant Bomb, I thought that was one of the best interviews.
Yes.
At direction and what they want to do with Xbox. Watch that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say they made it clear they're not done acquiring or starting new studios. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, as well as bringing over that Japanese content. If you're big into Japanese games or JRPGs, they're working on it. Some guy shouted out Persona 5 and he was like, I hear you. So maybe, you never know.
Hey, they got Nier Automata. So,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, man, these guys who have staked their claim on Japanese games, that being the reason why they don't jump on Xbox. That's all I'm telling you, man. When they announce Yakuza is coming to Xbox,
it's gonna be crazy.
That's gonna be the end.
TF God asks, what did CD Projekt Red gain by not showing gameplay to the public, especially if the game looked good?
They build hype by the fact that media from all over, from Digital Foundry to Eurogamer to Kotaku to Angry Joe, are all confirming that the game looks exactly like the engine trailer that they showed at the end of the Microsoft conference. And I know that's a lazy answer, but I'm dead serious. They're building hype. They're building trust with the media so that when they reveal gameplay to the public next year, it'll be mind-blowing.
That's what's up. Will, shout out to Wills. What up, bro? He says, hey, Tick, do you guys see Microsoft doing another show like Gamescom or their own event? The reason I ask is because I feel they should reveal more before waiting another year for E3 again.
I do, but I'm not so sure it'll be this year. I think we could eventually, if Microsoft makes another round of acquisitions and starts more studios, I think we could see them get to a point where in 2019 or 2020, they start having 2 big shows a year, one for, making E3 about what's coming that year, and then the next show being about what's coming beyond that with a couple of deep dives. But I don't think they're quite ready now. I think they will be, but they're not quite there yet.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Val Davikin asks, any talks about the Kingdom Hearts collections coming to Xbox?
Phil said not Phil, excuse me, Nomura at Square Enix said that there have been talks, but that's it, and they need to have more talks.
Gotcha.
Have those talks, damn it. Get to work.
Yeah, hey,
okay.
You know what?
You own Skype. Get on it.
Hang on a moment. People made fun of Phil's big trip to Japan, and look at the benefits we're seeing from that. So,
I agree.
These talks could pan out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think they did pan out. It did pan out. It worked out well. Let's see here. I think that's it. I think we're pretty much close to being done. Arsenic still says, what does a handful of Japanese games on Xbox change for PS4 gamers? It's a little extra for Xbox gamers, but only a drop in the bucket for Nintendo and Sony.
So to answer that really quickly, it's the end of the default PS4 exclusive, because it's the end of games coming to PS4 or even PC, but not Xbox, which means that there are people who won't be picking up a PS4 because I literally know guys who only pick up a PS4 because it'll have that handful of eclectic Japanese games that won't show up on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big deal, that variety, that representation.
Yeah, diversity is important, regardless of what people may say about PlayStation 4 and their first party output. Again, games are always subjective. It's your taste and what you like and what you're into. But if there is a group or a category of games that one platform is not getting, you're going to gravitate to that platform more. Now, obviously, PlayStation being a Japanese console is definitely going to get more Japanese games overall. But if another platform has the games you like and they're still getting a good portion of Japanese titles, that really changes the way you look at that platform. And it's not to say that Microsoft can't build relationships again like they did with 360 and bring Japanese exclusives over or work with people long term. So it's something that Microsoft should definitely do. These deals and these conversations and these relationships that they build, if it's promising and the fans start to buy, can turn into some exclusive titles and can really help Microsoft long term. I think the key thing that Phil said in the Giant Bomb interview that I really liked was that he said he understands that when Japanese devs go home at night, they might not play Xbox. They're more than likely going to be playing PlayStations. So trying to get the Japanese audience to buy Xboxes is basically a mute point at this, endeavor. The best thing to do was to go there instead of talking to them about what they can bring to Xbox, is to go there and talk about how Xbox can help them globally, how they can help spread their game out to a larger audience, how they can get people in other countries other than Japan to experience those games. And I think if they can build that trust, and you can get people in the States, in the UK, and in the West to really get into those games, and they see success with games like Monster Hunter was something that he said. Obviously, Dark Souls is another title that gets a lot of success, and a few others. If you can continue to do that and they can have faith in what you're talking about, then you can start to see even more investment in this American console by Microsoft and more trust and fill. And eventually that could lead to exclusive titles that you might not even get on PlayStation at all. And that's why people was clamoring. Even though I felt like it was false hype, a lot of people were clamoring for Scalebound because nobody was clamoring for it prior to it getting canceled. But that's why everybody was crying about Scalebound. So imagine getting those type of games back on the platform without issue. And, whoever said they were maybe into it might be into it again. So we'll see what happens as they move forward. JD the Gamer says, do you think they have even more surprises left for us this year?
Unlikely.
Anchor?
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of surprises, just not the ones you're looking for.
That's funny. Gaming Addict, shout out to my brother Gaming Addict. What's up, Addict? What's going on? Gaming Addict says, from the studios they bought this E3, if they was going to give an IP from Microsoft's library, what game would be made by who?
I mean, we talked about, again, the initiative in Perfect Dark. I mean, come on. Perfect with Gallagher's experience. It just makes sense. Undead, they want to make State of Decay right now. If they decide to make a new IP, then they'll do that. But I don't see them doing anything other than State of Decay for the foreseeable future, nor do they want to, nor, frankly, do I think anything in Microsoft's library would be a good fit for them. It's just let them do their own thing there. Ninja Theory, they could do some cool stuff with older IPs, but I think it's better for them to forge ahead and do a new IP. Playground, Fable, obviously. Fable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Who do you give the Compulsion, though? That's the one thing I don't know either.
Compulsion, new IP. Again, let them do their own thing.
Yeah, I would say new IP as well.
That's not the question, though. The question was out of the Fable.
I'm saying that it doesn't work for 3 of the 5.
He's saying the question is stupid. That's what he's doing, AJ. He's calling you stupid.
I didn't say he was stupid. I was trying to reason through.
Stop trying to start this take ILP war. We don't need that right now.
I was trying to think through it.
All right. So
Banjo, I mean, maybe I think, but Compulsion makes weird BioShock-esque games. Again, given the history of the talent there, I don't see Banjo maybe being a good fit for any of them. It's not about winning. It's about trying to think this through, AJ.
Look, this is what I'm talking about.
Again,
I said AJ started.
two of the 5 are almost 100% guaranteed to be working on Microsoft IPs, so older IPs. So there you go.
All right, let's finish up because it's getting late, and I think we had a pretty good show and answered a lot of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and answer Gogo and maybe one more, and then we're going to shut it down. So Gogo13 asks, are you looking forward to Days Gone? Game looks insanely fun, but Sony didn't bother showing it on their stage aside from being a 10-second clip within a montage.
So I actually got a chance to play Days Gone at the Sony Media Lounge, the PlayStation Media Lounge, which was really good. There was a guy in front of me who crashed the demo twice and died 5 times. That was really interesting. PlayStation Bra and I kept giving each other side eye and messaging back and forth about how bad it was. But he actually recorded me. It's up on PlayStation Bra's channel. I took out the Freaker Horde in one go. It's good. I like it. It's a fun game. Looks way better than the Game Informer footage. A lot of the animations are still pretty rough. Like, look, it's not going to be Naughty Dog polished by any stretch of the imagination. It's not going to be Coalition level polish. But it's like, if you can deal with a little bit of jank and the occasional like arm going through a wall or something like that, then it'll be a fun game. The Horde tech is real. That's where they've poured in their time and money, and it shows. It'll be fun.
Well, this was a great show tonight, man. I'm very glad that we were able to get this done. Next week, we'll talk about what we didn't like and what didn't show up. Superman. Why was a Superman game there?
It's because it doesn't exist.
Hey,
it doesn't exist.
Hey, you know what they say, man? Don't talk it into existence, bro. Don't do that. I need this game in my life. Rockstar needs to stop playing. I don't care about these rumors. They need to make this game real. I have the perfect idea. I need to be a developer. I really do. I think I would be an amazing developer. Like, really, I really do. I'm giving myself a lot of credit that I probably don't deserve, but I think I would be an amazing developer. I have so many great ideas. No, but Superman game didn't show up. Splinter Cell, where are you? Like, where is Splinter Cell, man? Like, where is this game at? We'll definitely talk about what wasn't there at E3 next week. And we'll touch on a few other things and stuff like that as the week goes on. Hopefully some new stuff pop up and we'll get a chance to dissect what's going on with Xbox in the industry as always. So listen, man, that's going to be it for this week. I am very grateful for everybody stopping out and hanging out with us tonight. Make sure tomorrow you check out the Lords, because tomorrow is the Lord's Day. Iron Lord podcast will be on at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe, with Lord Cognito, Lord Attic, Lord King David, and Lord Sovereign.
And I will be there as well.
And Sam will be a guest on the show. I don't understand this tech crossover. I'm not getting any of the memos.
It's because ILP was working with me all through E3. The realm belongs to me for the time being.
ILP is out here kidnapping tech members.
Until the Red Wedding, when he is murdered.
Until he's assassinated, right? Oh, man. No doubt, though. But it should be a great show tomorrow. You know how those guys do over there on ILP. Make sure you check out Multiverse on Mondays at 8 p.m. with Anchorman V and the team.
With episode 99.
Wow, that's they've come a long way, man. It's going to be crazy. And then make sure you check out Fame Entertainment and the 2XP Double XP show that gets uploaded to the channel. On his channel, it is basically rated R. On our channel, we try to stay family centric for everybody out there to listen. So if you want your kids to listen, they can. That show is a little bit edited, but you have the debate with Xbox versus PlayStation. So that's what we have going on here. We're not just an Xbox network. We are a gaming network. But this show is the premier podcast for Xbox. We're not your breakfast show. We're not your late night show. We are the premier podcast for Xbox. You make sure you tell your friends and family about that. So I'm your host, Kelwar SKLL, the last son of Planet Xbox with Anchorman V and Dire 1484. We're out of here. You guys have a great night. Peace.